You're listening to Creating a Universe, a Love Anarchy podcast hosted by William J. Rogers. On this show, we follow the journey of creatives, artists, and entrepreneurs who are making a name for themselves in the ever-evolving landscape of today's industry, featuring an insight into both Love Anarchy and the Lovaniverse music universe, as well as the individual projects and stories of each of our guests, from the music industry and beyond. So whether you're a budding creative or simply interested in what goes on behind the scenes, this is the podcast for you. Hello and welcome to Creating a Universe. I'm your host, William J. Rogers, and today I'm here with guitar virtuoso and instrumental metal composer, Louis Nass. How's it going, man?
It's going great, man. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks, man. It's so good to finally get to chat to you like this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, mate. And I am so glad we can finally, sit down and chat together.
Yeah,
it's
man.
an honor. Thank you.
Oh, absolute pleasure. We've been chatting about it for ages. It feels like we've been in contact for a long time now.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is a conversation I've been looking to have for ages. I was saying to you that it was even part of the inspiration for me starting the podcast that I really wanted to get to have a proper chat instead of just always on Instagram or whatever.
Instagram, yeah.
But
Thank
we're
you
so busy,
much.
We're always so busy that it's hard to just be like, when can we sit down and have a proper chat? So I thought, how about I start a podcast and make that a thing? And now finally we get to do this. So
yeah, it's so right, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. So where should we start? I guess the best place to start is obviously just if you were able to give a bit of an overview of who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So as you just said, I'm a guitarist and a composer and also a guitar music teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically, teach music to different sort of students, and I got my own project, solo musical project called Ominous Conclusions, which is a kind of instrumental horror metal. Mm-hmm. And I'm very inspired by mostly classical music. So I like, I'm as much, I see myself as much as a composer as I'm a guitarist. So I really love to spend time on the textures, orchestrations, and that's something, if you don't know about Ominous Conclusions, you can clearly hear that in the, in the compositions. I'm inspired by also, movie soundtrack composers like Danny Elfman. And wow, that's pretty much it. I love to compose. I love to play, and my music is that kind of dark instrumental music with orchestral textures.
Yeah, awesome, man, awesome, and and it's really, really fantastic music. I think we first came in contact. So I remember. So you just recently had the year anniversary of the Outsider EP, right?
And actually, you contacted me just when I released it.
Yeah. Just
when I released the Outsider, and I was really blown away when you did, because you actually were one of the first to review the music just independently by yourself, and you did. You said these amazing things. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And that's exactly the kind of, reaction I wanted I wanted people to have, to feel. And wow, it was really great. And no wonder we clicked right away,
Totally, man. No, I thank you. I'm glad that that's the case. I think that what it was is because I remember when you released the EP. So I think that if I'm correct, you released the first single from it alone with the music video.
Yeah.
You released that before, or just before?
Yeah, about 2 weeks before, maybe something like
Right.
that.
So I think that's what it was. I think that I saw
Yeah,
that when you
exactly.
released it, and then we started chatting because I wrote to you about that, and then I remember the EP coming out like shortly after that.
Yeah.
But I just remember because I saw it. I saw an ad, I think, that you were running, probably using the video clip.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And at that time, I was like looking at a lot of these ads and ads and stuff because
Yeah.
I was like studying all of that, what ads musicians were running and blah blah blah. So I was looking through lots, which means I was getting targeted with lots. But then I came across that one, and it stood out to me so much, man, because like the second
Oh,
that
thank
I
you.
saw it, like the second I saw you in the castle, all of this kind of dark, sort of somewhat kind of gothic aesthetic, and like, but obviously you're there with the your 7-string guitar just like shredding. It was the shredding, but also like I could tell, like, in that video clip, if anyone's listening to this, they should definitely check out that video clip. It's a great representation of you for
Thank you.
Alone. But yeah, it's the way that like you're playing, and you have such like classical kind of vibrato as well on the guitar, and straight away I was like, oh yeah, this is my kind of guy, and so I checked it out, and I was like, yeah, this is really cool, and this is different. I could tell that you were like a metalhead and everything, but it wasn't. It's its own thing, your music. You do have like these metal elements, but like that track, for instance, it's like not really even a metal track. There's no drums there. There's no like it's just like orchestral piece, like a electric guitar concerto.
There are drums just at the very last seconds of the track.
and yeah. And then in the EP, like you have that big moment in the last track and stuff. Yeah. But I just thought it was really cool. It stood out to me so much. That video is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, and yeah. So yeah, I'm not just trying to blow your horn the whole time, but like, yeah, that was really like my impression of it. So I basically just like reached straight out to you because I was just excited about it, and just like wrote to you about it. And then, as you say, we just connected from there. We had so much to talk about, and as you say, like, you really approach it like a composer in a traditional way, which was fascinating to me. And we've spoken about like classical music and stuff.
Yeah.
And like composers, obviously Danny Elfman and things, and metal as well. Like, yeah, I guess a great thing would be just to like talk more about your music and your approach. Another big thing being that like you have this very like Lovecraftian influence in what you do, especially with the Outsider EP. So maybe for anybody that doesn't know, you can chat about that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's something I forgot when I introduced myself. I'm obviously inspired by metal music because that's mainly where I come from. But yeah, as I said, I'm also inspired by classical composers, mostly Prokofiev. To me, is the best ever, the best composer ever.
Nice.
And yes, I actually get my inspiration in other places than music, like most of us do. But I almost seek it almost exclusively elsewhere, like in Lovecraft literature, which I'm a big fan of. And well, I just Lovecraft, almost all these tales have really shaken me, and the way it's written, the way it makes you feel, I really dig this. And I wanted to I've always have a very dark mind, and when I first read Lovecraft for the very first time,
Mm-hmm.
I read it and I was like, I'm making music about this.
Mm-hmm.
It
Nice.
was obvious. And when I first read The Outsider, it was
Mm-hmm.
exactly the same. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I am going to make a piece exclusively about this tale. Generally speaking, Lovecraft is an inspiration, as is Beksinski, a Polish painter
Mm-hmm.
from the 80s,
Ah, yeah.
and very dark paintings, but
Mm-hmm.
incredible, incredible.
That you share a lot of those on social
Yeah,
media,
yeah,
right?
I love to share his art on
Mm-hmm.
my Facebook page mainly, and
Mm-hmm.
because that's something, I got a one of my part of my process in composing is I also have uh, I gather lots of things on Pinterest.
Mm-hmm.
I got these boards with dark art, Lovecraft stuff, and Beksinski paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when I'm about to compose or I'm currently composing, but I kind of need to trigger, inspiration in a specific mood or atmosphere and such. I
Mm-hmm.
go there and I look at these things, and
Mm-hmm.
it helps. It really works, and so
Nice.
maybe you can use it too,
Yeah,
or
yeah. No, I like
anyone
that.
watching.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I'm basically very inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. Not
Mm-hmm.
that I actually compose about specific stories of him.
Mm-hmm.
The Outsider is so far the only exception. Actually, there are tons of other tracks that I'm currently composing that I've been working on for years, but that relate to his universe, but that
Mm-hmm.
don't relate to a specific story. The Outsider is
Mm-hmm.
really something I built for the story, and when you read the story, when you listen to the music, it makes sense actually. And
Mm-hmm.
I specifically did that. It's not even a track; it's a three-part piece. There are
Mm-hmm.
three tracks just for one story.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much like I was saying, as I'm inspired by also movie soundtrack composers like Danny Elfman,
Mm-hmm.
I approached this work just
Mm-hmm.
as a movie soundtrack composer or a audiobook composer, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I also did a couple of times. So I work like that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. I absolutely love that. I think it's just such a uh, creative way of working, and I love
Thank
this
you.
like musical storytelling, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's
Exactly. That's the
amazing.
spirit of ominous conclusions. Yeah, actually. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah,
exactly it.
nice. And so yeah, so the Outsider EP that you released
Mhm.
last year, as you're saying, that is literally like telling the story of Lovecraft's short story, The Outsider.
Yeah.
And you actually like if for people that are interested in that, like you put some videos on your YouTube channel on the well, I think on the Ominous Conclusions YouTube channel. And
Actually, those I took them out.
oh, did you remove them?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna
okay.
I'm gonna redo them because I was like, you you were that's when we met, as you said,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
so
yeah.
the outsider, and you quickly you learn how a shitty period it was.
How what? How?
How a shitty period it was for me.
Oh, I see. Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the release of The Outsider was actually a complete nightmare. Not because
Right,
of,
yeah.
the release itself, but everything was going wrong everywhere, and I did
Yeah.
everything, including the recording of the EP and the producing the music, the clip.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was in a rush, although I had planned it for almost a year and a half,
Yeah.
something like that. But everything went to shit.
Yeah, I
Sorry
remember. Yeah.
Pardon my French, so to speak.
That's okay, man. Speak freely. You're French. You're allowed to use this French vocabulary. Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah, that you had a lot of misfortune. There was like a flood in like all of your electrical equipment or something. And all this nightmare
so
stuff.
many things.
Yeah.
all at once. The thing is, unlike most people, I didn't have anything, any problem related to COVID-19. I never got sick.
Right,
I never went out of a job or anything. I was pretty lucky. So I think the universe punched me another way.
Yeah, you got
everything just fell apart everywhere. But I'm okay. But it's just when I saw those videos and a couple of other things, I'm always like, my God, it's awful. I couldn't watch it. And,
I get that.
I had to do this again. I will. And if people listen to the EP, if they ever have questions or anything, they can either just reach out. I'd be happy to talk about it. And also you can just promoting myself here. I just launched a Patreon page also, and you will find there I'm going to post more and more things about The Outsider and other releases and upcoming stuff as well. So you can gather lots of exclusive intel there.
Oh, for sure. Like I'm actually part of that Patreon, so it's really cool, man. Like you do actually.
For this too, really.
It's a pleasure, and yeah, but your point is you do actually really put an effort into making a more intimate connection there. Like you put some more personal stuff there, and you've put some things in development which are really exciting, and it's so cool to kind of see you in the process and how pieces are developing and stuff like that. That is really cool. So
thank you.
Yeah. But okay, like I understand, like you went back and
I'm sorry about that.
I think that's okay. The point that I wanted to make though really is just that so in those videos you were playing the tracks from The Outsider and just talking about them. You were basically giving context to like the story that the music is telling. And I think that even though people can't watch that right now, maybe they can, at some other point. The point is like just how much you composed it, as you say, like a film composer or something, because it was fascinating to go through that process. Like everything that is happening in these tracks is literally like representing the words from the story. Like you can literally like follow the story and listen to the music. It is like every bar is,
thank you, man.
Painting that picture. Yeah, it's awesome. It's just like, and I mean, that's got to be a hell of a lot of work as well. Like it's a lot more than just kind of composing what you want. Like you have literally mapped everything out in your head to like every instrument is there for a purpose, and everything that's happening is there. And like just knowing that, I think, brings a richness of depth to the music. Like you can listen to the music and you kind of get to enjoy it from many more layers. And I've listened to that EP so many times, man. Like,
thank you, man. For
because of that.
I'm speechless.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm just like praising you.
No,
like,
really,
I do mean that.
Not only, it's not only what you say, is that it's you saying it. Someone like you, because I really, I truly respect and love you as a person, but you are also very talented musician. And when you first reached out, we really started talking and I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, this is someone I could really be friends with. And
Yeah,
then
totally.
I
I
discovered
felt
what
him.
you actually do, and not only as a musician, because you are a very talented musician. You are
Thank you.
one of the best composers I know, really. uh,
Oh man.
it's not I'm not saying that to be nice. It's really the case. When I listen to I'm not really a rock guy, but because mostly when I listen to rock music, I feel like I've always heard it somewhere else.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah,
looks
yeah.
like and when I listened to yours, I was like, wow, this is something else. Just
Nah, thank you.
it is really arcane rock, and
With the
there's no such
flavor-ness, yeah.
things. It is incredible, and you're a great composer, but you're also a very, very talented guitarist and singer. Your voice is amazing, and you
Thank
produce
you.
as well. I mean, you never stop, man. You
Oh
never
man.
stop, and
Oh.
you do
I
this.
appreciate that, man.
Not only It's not only your music, but you do this also to let other musicians emerge. You're the kind of person I've been looking for my whole life, man. Really.
Oh man.
I've been just like any musician, especially independent ones. We've all been struggling. We're all struggling at some point.
Mhm.
It goes with the territory. We know this.
Certainly.
If you wanted to make money, we would never do music. but,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but what I'm saying is that shit, I lost it.
No,
No, yeah,
I think I'm with you. It's this thing about community, right, amongst musicians,
yeah,
and
because yeah, that's it. See, basically, the only thing I am really ashamed of is being French, man. And
wow.
oh man, I swear, and I spent so many years struggling alone because the people I worked with, well, I worked with a couple of bands who are amazing guys, like Dream Slave, you've been in contact with.
Yeah, yeah, they're
Um,
awesome.
Another band called Regence, these guys are great. And, I had a great time with them. But mostly, you just can't trust anyone. I'm not saying I've been betrayed or anything, but it's even, just it's simpler than that, but also so infuriating. Just people sharing the same dream, but never putting in the work, never showing up on time, never making sacrifices. I just can't get my head around it, and just until recently, when I finally 3 years ago with Ominous Conclusions, when I finally decided to do something by myself, because I'm the only person I could trust,
Yeah, for sure.
that's when I decided to really go solo. And so, what do you do when you decide to do that? There's just one thing you can do, is go online. So
Yeah,
that's when
yeah.
I joined SMA and all, just like you, and
Hmm.
I started to discover the power of social media, because I never was on Facebook or anything, and I didn't really know how it worked. I was just
Yeah.
doing my thing, and when I discovered that social media, it's not my thing basically, but it's what you do with it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I started to meet like-minded people, truly like-minded people who work hard. I never met people like this until 3 years ago. People who are really driven, like you are, like other musicians I met through SMA and on Instagram. And this has really changed my life. And meeting you has truly changed my life, man.
Oh,
I
thank
feel
you.
so much better now. And I know guys like you who are so hardworking. Before, I was the most hardworking people I knew. And that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
And and I feel great about it. So thank you so much, man. Really,
Oh,
thank you.
man, likewise, man, and thank you. I mean, like it's yeah, it's so mutual, and I think that that's the great thing about it is that we all inspire and encourage each other, you know. And as you say, like, you know, I praise how hard you work as well, and that's always an inspiration. And sometimes you're doing stuff, we're working on this and this and this and this, and I'm like, what? Like, how? And then you're the same with me. So yeah. So yeah, man, like it is good to have that. Like I can completely relate, which we again connected on early on. And I think that a lot of other people can as well. If anybody listening, like where you mentioned SMA, that's Savvy Musician Academy, which is like a music marketing course type thing. But as you say, it's like it's more again this sense of community, the fact that you can meet other people that are just, you know, as you say, working hard, dedicated to trying to make a success themselves. And most of us can probably relate to the fact that, like, we've often started when we were younger or whatever, trying to form bands or whatever. And the thing is, obviously, just the majority of people don't take it seriously, you know, or like maybe they do in theory, but like when it really comes down to it, it's just, you know, not going to happen. And that is frustrating, you know, when you are somebody that's driven. So finding, you know, your tribe, whether you're actually like finding bandmates or whatever that you can really work with, or whether you're doing your own thing, but you know, you have that kind of network of support and encouragement, like that is a big thing, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It is really, we don't suspect how big a thing it is, because I see it even in my own, you know, in my own routine. I have improved more in a year in everything I do than I have in the past 5 years. I really feel it. And I also just feel better because I can talk about these things with you, for instance. You know, and talk about the art and what is beyond just the art itself, because it's one thing to work hard and be talented, but you have to, nowadays you have to develop so many skills on social media, using a camera, using you know, lighting and stuff. You have to invest, you really have to work hard. And and I'm not complaining, it's great, I enjoy every minute of it, but there are true sacrifices, and when you make them all alone and you don't see, you know, you can't share this with anyone, it can be a really heavy burden. When you finally meet people who are as dedicated as you can not only talk about this, but also that's how you keep evolving, because you see other things that that, you know, things that other people do that you don't, and you're like, oh yeah, that's inspiring, I could do something like this. Or, you know, it's all about sharing, and it's very, very positive. It's a game changer.
100%, man, 100%, because as you said, it's like otherwise it feels like you're working in a vacuum, you know, and exactly. Like it feels like you're going mad, you know.
Exactly.
Like, and I mean, sometimes that's unavoidable. It's kind of like part of the process of just creativity. But then, yeah, as you say, you have to wear so many hats. You basically have to build a business and then like run every part of it yourself, you know, at least at the beginning. And that's pretty crazy. And so, yeah, you know, especially if you're somebody, which as a creative person, people often are going to be prone to like overthinking things and get, you know, being stressed about things. So man, it can really drive you mental. And I'm sure that you and I have both experienced this like full force, you know. So just as you say, just to know that there's like somebody else also doing it, at least tells you that you're not like completely mental, and you just need to keep going,
Yeah, you just need to
So,
keep going, and things will happen. And the way it is really important, what we're doing here, and basically every day connecting with people,
mhm,
whether they are fans or just like-minded people, because
mhm,
it is really enlightening, and
mhm. Well,
yeah, it's
yeah,
really important.
100%, because I think that's kind of what it is that it's all kind of all about connecting with like-minded people, whether they are like kind of colleagues, other musicians, whatever, or fans, listeners, etc. Really, all of these people are like-minded people, because
Yeah,
even if you're just trying to attract listeners and fans and build community there, these are like-minded people too. And
yeah,
Alex spoke a lot about this from Blood of
yeah,
Indigo, and who
yeah,
was
yeah.
like a mutual connection. I actually, came across Alex through you. And he said a lot of great stuff a couple of episodes back. And yeah, he was talking about this, about like, really it's about just making a lot of friends rather
Yes,
than having
yes,
fans,
yeah.
and you create that kind of community amongst you. And that's just kind of much more the way to go about it in this day and age.
And actually, I think it is a very healthy way. It
Mm.
it can
Hmm.
require a lot of work, but you know, sometimes if you have to drop out for a while, and I do that often, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, I didn't post anything, I didn't respond to to the guys, and I come back, I write this email, I make this post, I come back, I say I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I do that every
I
two
know.
months or so.
But
And
every time, I mean, at least I can't speak for everyone, but at least the way I receive it is like, it's no problem at all, man. Like,
yeah,
everyone
yeah,
gets it,
and actually, yeah, yeah, and everybody says so. I even got a bunch of already big fans who are adorable, and they got my personal profile on Facebook. Also, we're friends, and they message me through Messenger saying, "Man, it's okay. We get it, and we are glad you're still, you keep
Mhm.
going and all." And it's refreshing. It's really encouraging. So yeah, but that's proof that this is the to me, yeah, a very healthy way to build your fan base and your connections. Just like when
Mhm.
I went to the event the other day,
Mhm.
I was invited to a private event. It was to make connections, but not. It was a private concert with a pagan ceremony and a whole lot of beer. That's it. It
Yeah.
was just fun. It was just fun, and
Mhm.
you just connect with people. I made some contacts, but just by sharing the beauty of our our calling, basically.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. To just find your tribe, find your people. And
Yeah,
this is funny. I mean, because we were obviously speaking about this before, like off camera. But like, yeah,
yeah,
you went to this networking event the other day, and I kind of joked about this. Like, you told me when we were just like booking a time to have this podcast, like,
yeah. I'm
oh
so
yeah,
sorry
I'm
about
going.
that.
No, no, that's fine. You're like, oh, I'm going to a networking event on that day. And I'm like, okay, cool. Oh, my manager set it up for me. I'm like, okay. And my mind just immediately went to like, I don't know, some conference center, and like, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Handing out business cards, whatever kind of stuff. And then when you're like, oh yeah, so it's like, in the mountains with this like, closed community, and they have like pagan ceremony there and like black metal concert or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's yeah, that sounds like a hell of a networking event, man. Very cool, man.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, 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 nice. And I mean, is that close to you? I mean, like, so you live in France, right?
Yeah,
is is it kind of like remote where you are? Like you're always posting
Oh,
your walks in nature and stuff, like
yeah,
true composer style.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. I
love
love
that.
that. Actually, I'm very lucky about this because I live in a house in a small village,
Hmm.
but it is not far from, it is close to everything. Actually, it can be. There's a pretty decent city, not far. I'm maybe not even a 15-minute drive,
Hmm.
away, and there's also a whole another village bigger with stores and all. I can be there in less than 10 minutes, and
Hmm.
if I walk out of my home, I can be in the forest in about 10 minutes.
Nice.
I'm in the middle of nature, basically, with neighbors and stuff, but it is very quiet. There are vines everywhere because it's Burgundy,
Hmm.
right? Uh,
Nice.
and there's the forest. There are two forests nearby that I can, walk to in about 10 minutes.
Hmm.
And so, but in the meantime, I can be uh, in I can be in the city in
Yeah.
less than 20 minutes
Really, really
with
nice
my
balance.
car. It's no,
Hmm.
it's really comfortable, and I got all the advantages of you know uh, living in the country, and I love that.
Hmm. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm totally with you, man. It's like all of the classical composers and stuff spoke about that, right? Their days would mostly consist of composing and
Yeah,
walking in nature, which is where they'd find a lot of their inspiration.
yeah,
I know that Beethoven spoke about, just hearing symphonies in the forest, and the bird song and the wind and all of the sounds that you hear there. That's
yeah, yeah.
you
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah. I remember Beethoven saying something like this. Yeah, yeah,
hmm.
definitely. To me, I'm not often inspired when I go to the woods, but
Hmm.
uh, except when it's a cloudy day with
Oh yeah.
dark sky and all. This is very Lovecraftian, and that's what's
Yeah.
great about it. Is that there's when days I like this, I'm kind of a misanthropist, and when days I like this, not only do I like it because it's very Lovecraftian, but also there is nobody out there. I
Yeah,
am
yeah, yeah.
always alone when I cross the villages. I am just it's like I'm the last person on earth, and
Yeah, yeah,
by the
yeah.
time I reach the forest, everything is silent. It is absolutely great. Now that is very inspiring. But otherwise,
Nice.
just walking in the woods, it allows me just to clear my
Yeah.
head.
Hmm.
And
That's it. Yeah.
if I come back, I want to compose, I just all the bothering stuff has just gone out. All
Yeah.
the social media, all the things I got
Uh-huh.
to take care about, all the things I got to do, the bills, all
Yeah,
these
yeah,
things
yeah.
are just
That's it.
went away, and I sit in front of the computer. I open the editing software, look at my part, and that's it.
Hmm.
And I start,
Nice.
and it's okay.
Yeah, amazing, man. Yeah, that's it. So essentially like a walking meditation,
Yeah,
really.
exactly, exactly. I got this
Yeah.
spot in the middle of the woods. There's a path, of course, but I always, I'm a bit crazy like that, but I always go off track. I go right in the
Nice.
middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
And I found this spot, this amazing spot, like a kind of sanctuary. There are
Nice.
tons of trees, and then there's this space around a huge dead tree, which is open
Oh
always like this,
wow.
with the branches going on four sides, and it's covered with moss. And there's
Nice.
just enough room on the side to go in there and sit with a little edge.
Wow.
It was like it was just waiting for me, and I go there
Wow.
and I sit for an hour or two, just clearing my head, and it feels really great. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool, man.
I'm
Yeah,
lucky
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I really like that, man. Like, as I mentioned, like I see you from time to time posting Instagram stories or whatever that, here's the view from the window today, and
Yeah.
the Lovecraftian skies today, and then
Yeah.
going for a walk in the woods. And I just think like, yeah, that's cool. It's just again another thing where um I can just resonate with that, man. Like that's kind of the life in a way, to compose and then just
Yeah.
go to
You,
nature and
do you
yeah.
do that as well?
So I would say that the area I'm in now is kind of similar, maybe a little bit more in a town than
Mhm.
thing, but there is a lot of nature around here.
Yeah.
I'm in Yorkshire now,
Oh,
in
that's
in north.
beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
you
remember
know it.
now. Oh,
So
yeah,
so here you have like the Yorkshire Dales and things like that. So there's a lot
yeah,
of nature and countryside around here. I mean, I'm originally from Hackney in London,
yeah,
in East London, which is like the total opposite. I mean,
yeah,
total like
yeah.
all
Very busy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, but yeah, we moved here, and there is a similar thing here where there's actually a small woods just a minute or two from
Oh,
the
yeah.
house. So that's a really nice like spot, just to be able to go to quickly. But then about 15, 20 minutes walk away, there's a bigger woods, and then otherwise there's the town and stuff. So again, you can kind of get anything that you need. So yeah, it's a really good spot for that as well.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have that kind of like-minded thing, I
Yeah,
think there. So
definitely.
that's really cool. I was curious. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to speak about this or not, but I remember I
Sure.
I just remember that one time you posted something. It was a very like, out of the usual type of post, where you were talking about like essentially like your daily routine or like
Mhm.
not, or
Yeah.
like your schedule, and I just remember it was really intriguing to me because again we clearly share a lot in common and think about these things a lot, but I don't remember it exactly, but I remember you had some kind of unusual things going on and stuff that you were trying out. I was curious, like maybe you could walk through like how you kind of set up your typical kind of day-to-day life.
Yeah, of course. So I can't. I don't know what you found strange or unusual, but you let
Yeah,
me
fair
know
enough.
when.
Well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm just remembering it like that. But
No,
you
no,
go on, and then we'll
it's okay.
discuss.
It's okay. Yeah, of course. Actually, I was planning on doing a couple of more in-depth posts about this on Patreon as well. So
Oh,
it's
cool.
great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I find this stuff interesting for sure.
You're amazing, man. Thank you. So yeah, basically, a typical day for me is I get up. One thing I do is that I never put an alarm clock.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
I never, I never get up late. I never have. So uh, even if I take my time, like on Sunday morning, the other day I was at the event on Saturday night, and
Hmm.
I went home late and drunk.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I got up. It wasn't even 9 a.m.
Hmm.
and I really took my time. So basically, I get up when I wake up, which is usually in the winter it's about between 7 and 8, but more between 7 and 7:30. Anyway,
Hmm.
just so you get an idea when my day starts.
Yeah.
And that way I wake up when I'm ready, and so I'm well rested, and that's to me one of the most important things to be
Hmm.
productive, because I realized that before I put an alarm clock really early in the morning, and
Hmm.
I wanted to really practice a lot and do a lot of stuff, and sometimes I work for 14 to 15 hours a day, and I felt productive, but I realized that I was really tired, and that actually what I did in 5 hours could be done
Mm-hmm.
in 3 productive hours, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a big difference. And I felt better, and I realized that. Took some notes over a certain period of time, and now I'm saying all this. I'm sorry, I'm taking a little bit of time
No,
because
I'm totally following
uh,
you. Yeah.
all I'm saying is that I will talk about my daily schedule, but that's something that evolves from time to time, because
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm always looking for ways to refine that.
Mm-hmm.
So first, I don't put on an alarm clock. I never do, but because I never get up late anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I know, I feel the difference when I'm being tired or lazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
when I feel like I don't want to get up, I ask myself, are you tired? And if the answer is no, I just get out of bed, because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not good otherwise. So
Yeah. Yeah.
let's say my day starts at 7:30. I eat one day out of two. So one day out of two, I don't stop during the day. So I just, feed the cats and
Yeah.
make my tea and go down. I start the day with ear training every day, because that's
Mm-hmm.
when you're fresh in the morning. Your hearing ability is at its best, and your
Mm-hmm.
brain processes this kind of information more easily. So I always start with ear training in the morning.
So can I quickly
Yeah.
interject? First, I just want to say I think that was probably the thing that threw me the most. You said that you eat 1 in 2 days, or you eat during the day 1 in 2 days.
During the day, I mean,
So you
every
eat like dinner in the
every
evening.
yeah, every 2 days I only eat dinner,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you gotta take a break sometime. And I like to. I really like food. I really like food.
Sure.
After all, I'm still French, so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I really like food, and I like to have about 45 minutes or an hour in the evening, just to relax.
Okay.
I
Cool.
watch like one episode of a series on Netflix or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
something, and I eat my meal. I take my time. It's my
Mm-hmm.
break of the day. So
Cool. Cool. Cool.
no, don't worry. I'm not from Sparta.
Yeah. So you do eat something, but so you basically like one day you will eat only once in the evening, and
Yeah,
then the next
yeah.
day you'll eat twice, I guess.
Uh, yeah, twice or even 3 times
Twice
is
or three
just.
times. Yeah.
I will do. I will basically do the normal, meals.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
One day, and the next one I will do only dinner. But this morning uh, on Mondays I usually don't eat, but this morning I had breakfast, because I knew we were doing this, and I
Yeah.
didn't
Okay.
want my
Yeah.
stomach to go.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I'm with you.
So
Okay.
it's
Cool.
it's not something that I absolutely got to do, but it explains my schedule, because one day out of
Mm.
two, as I don't eat breakfast, there are things I start earlier,
Yeah. I
and
see.
so there are one one day out of two, actually I get to practice more because
Yes.
of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
But do
So
you think that does that work for you energetically? Like, do you find yourself being hungry on those days that you aren't eating? Does that affect your energy levels, or does it feel good? Is it like, I mean, there are like benefits to kind of fasting and things like that. So,
no,
uh,
it's like you already heard me say,
mm-hmm,
music, and the way I see it and do it every day, my routine.
mm-hmm.
It's, of course, it's a discipline,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you gotta listen to yourself. If you want
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
optimize that, you really gotta listen to yourself. So I as I said, I know the difference between being tired and lazy. So I know usually I can go all day without eating and it's not a problem. And it also feels good for the body. I'm not, watching my weight or anything. I don't care. But no, just it's okay. It's okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Enough for me, I'm not hurting myself. And if one day, sometimes when I practice like technical stuff. If my body lacks something, I will feel it, and I will feel my fingers, slightly shaking like this.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna eat something. It's you gotta listen to yourself, and you take, you thought you were not eating that day, but so you say, oh, okay, but if I eat, by the time I cook something, I eat maybe, it will take me 40 minutes or an hour, but it's okay. If afterwards you feel better, you will be more productive. So.
I think it's what you said about like, yeah, you can work 14 hours a day, which is the tendency, I think, for people like you and I. Like, I can relate to that. We start with that, like, oh, we want to try and work as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
But then exactly, you realize that you actually spread that time very thin. So as you say, you could do 5 hours work in 3 focused hours,
Yeah.
And often that can be a lot more drastic even, like 80-20 Pareto principle, that like, you could actually do like a whole day's work in 2 like really focused hours or whatever. Yeah. So that's definitely a lesson to learn that you've mentioned there, and that I've definitely experienced as well. Yeah, as you say, it's constant progress, really.
Yes. You gotta, that's something I also picked up when I really took the time to listen to myself and go out in nature. As we mentioned before. Because those walks, I usually do that on Sundays when I decide I just, chill out.
Yeah, unplug.
And it really, really works. And when you have a good, something that works for you and that you can listen to yourself. But the key, as I said, is just to know when make the difference between when you're tired and when you are lazy.
Yeah,
that's all there is. Because if you're tired, you gotta rest. Because if I practice 5 hours tired, there are some things that will take more time for me to process, to really nail on even, sometimes you can go as far as being like, oh shit, because your mind was wandering, and you lost 2 minutes, and it's no big deal, but you feel like you're not performing well. And when you are completely aware and focused, well, you're more efficient, you're more productive, and it's you win every way, because you are more productive, and you feel better. You don't feel like tired, like the world, bearing the weight of the world on your shoulders or anything. You feel, just feel better, and it's better for your health too. So
yeah.
You gotta listen to yourself, but be honest with yourself. Just make the difference between when you're lazy and tired. It's the only key. Afterwards, you can have a certain discipline, but adapt it to when to feel
your own rhythms.
Yeah. You adapt. You gotta adapt.
I'm with you, man. And again, like it's always good to learn things or pick things up or find out what other people are doing. But as you say, really, when it comes down to it, you don't want to be looking too much at what anybody else is doing, especially because you don't have the full picture. The main thing is exactly as you say, to be in tune with your own rhythms, and what works best for you. That's important.
That's exactly why I love to talk about these things, and I want to talk about these things because one thing that really stands out to me is that lots of players I love, great players,
Mm-hmm.
You can gather an interview, a tip here and there, and there is Steve Vai that released his method, his routine and everything. But in the end, when you look at it, you really don't know what these guys do. You don't know how they do it, and I've always been like, oh my God, I wish I knew. And I'm not, a model or something, but I'm not an idol or anything, and I don't pretend to be one. But just in case people were wondering, and they are wondering, I share these things. I tell what I do every day. It may not be something that will be useful, but they know they will see for themselves if it's useful or not for them. It's useful for me, but it is important to share these things. But I think even the most, the best guitarists and the best teachers, they kind of like, keeping a part of mystery around it. There's a part of ego, like saying, I don't want to share everything. I just feel that way, and I think it's a shame, really.
I think it's part of that thing that we spoke about earlier, where there's a shift that's occurring now. In a previous generation, you had like rock stars and then like a big gate there, and then like fans that can just
these worship. Guys are talented, these guys know what
that's just magic. Exactly. And then but as we say, like, now it's different. It's all really about having a close connection and building a community with with the listeners and with the everyone involved. So I think that now it is cool to have that more intimate kind of personal connection and to know more of those details, especially as you say, like on Patreon or whatever. Like if you have something like that, then that's a great place to post that stuff. And as we say, man, like I've asked about it here just because like that is, I genuinely am interested in that. And it's not all about, as you say, you've got to find what works for you. So it's not like you can just post your schedule or whatever and somebody can just like copy it or envy, like, oh, I need to stop eating and like practice all the time or whatever. It's not about that. It's just the fact that, as you say, like people like you and I, we are always thinking about these things and we're always like trying to kind of optimize within ourselves. So it is some interesting food for thought, at least, Exactly. And whilst maybe you could do something that might inspire me to do that or try that, at the very least, the fact that you do that and you speak about it and you work on it helps me do that for myself, and helps each other. So I think that it is That's good stuff. Idea.
Yeah.
So I think the main things were that, because I want to pull it back round to the thread that we went off of, which is I'm really interested in all this conversation, so it's all good. But I think that's the biggest things that like surprised me about your schedule. Not surprised me because of I know you and who you are, but like at least definitely in comparison to me, is one was I think the eating and stuff, because I definitely just have like 3 set meals a day. However, having an amazing wife definitely helps significantly with that.
I bet she's adorable. Man.
Yeah, Maria is the best. Yeah, but like without her, I might potentially, I would definitely eat a lot worse. But anyway, there's that, and the fact that you practice so much. At least maybe not in comparison to Steve Vai. I don't know what he's doing, but like definitely in comparison to me. So you started by saying like you start like every day or most days or whatever with like ear training.
Ear training,
What are you doing there with that?
Oh, there are many. Actually, I got a list right here.
Okay, cool, man.
So I can tell you quickly. Training routine. That's
nice.
I made a YouTube video recently about how to develop perfect pitch, which is something that's not really possible. At least most people think so, but you can get really close to it. So
it's about relative pitch, right? That's the idea.
Actually I have exercises for relative pitch and exercises for perfect pitch. So for example, I will play an interval on the keyboard and sing the two notes. That's relative pitch, and that's how you build your knowledge of intervals. Hearing
yeah.
I do the same thing with chords, and then I can move on to a bit challenging stuff. Like I will play a note and decide on which chord I want to build, and I will sing the other notes of the chord just with the referent tone.
That's
relative pitch exercises I do. And as for perfect pitch exercises, I came across when I was studying music in a professional school. We had this amazing teacher who taught us about a bit of music theory, but mostly how to sing the notes, hear the notes, things like that, and basically ear training, an ear training class. And he taught us about this method that's used in by the Hungarian. They got this guy who's called Zoltán Kodály, who created a method. And part of this method to teach music in schools was to give a specific name to each of the 12 semitones of our harmonic system. So that, because we have like C sharp is also D flat, and depending on the context, it can get even a bit crazier than that. And so we at least have 2 names for each note, and it really fucks up our brain, And when you start associating just one specific name to a note, you hear it more clearly.
And
yeah, you actually I got we got 12 notes, so I got 12 different names. One name per note. And so when you sing this specific pitch, you pronounce this specific name, so it sticks to your brain more easily. You really record it more easily. And I developed this method on my own, where I, with the different name, there's Do, D, T, C, things like that, but you can actually compose words. So I created a list of words using these pitches, and when I say sorry, for example, it goes G and E flat, it goes sorry, and I hear the notes.
Wow,
it's a great system, and it's very easy. And if you play these regularly, every day, you start memorizing the different pitches. So that's
intriguing. I never heard of that. Yeah.
You can watch. I released a video specifically about this on.
So is this the one about perfect pitch, or was this a different video? Yeah. It was I saw the clips from it that you posted. Yeah, I need to check that out.
I give all the details in the video with the system, and I also display the system with the name of the notes. But you can actually come up with any label you want for the notes. The important thing is that you have a specific label for each note, its own label. Afterwards, we can say that, but if this song is in, let's say it's in G minor, then it's B flat, but if it's in B major, it's an A sharp. But but that's all theory. You don't have to think about that. You know it already. I'm sorry if I'm getting a bit technical here, but it's just it's the same note with 2 names. That's the problem with learning.
A sharp, B flat.
And actually, the thing is that Hungarian pupils, very young students in the public school, they are mind blowing. they all have perfect pitch. They all sing like gods because of
Wow.
this system. So
Wow. That's
that's
very
what he,
interesting, man.
yeah, he taught us about this. The guy who taught us this method, he told us that he worked with great, uh, he's a pianist, and he worked with great orchestras and all over the
Mm-hmm.
world and the world and all. But
Mm-hmm.
one once he had a project in Hungary, and he met some students in a public music school, just a random class of pupils, and
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the moments of his life in his whole career when he was the most blown away.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's something, and at my age, I've been using this method for a few months now, really, with
Mm-hmm.
when I started developing this thing with also the words and everything. It came to me quite late, but I'm 31 now. I can't expect to already develop perfect pitch the way someone has
Mm-hmm.
developed it during childhood, but I can get really close to it thanks to this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of
Wow.
my ear training routine.
Wow, man, that's really really interesting. I definitely have to check that out. Again, I think probably another important thing to clarify for anyone listening is that if I'm right, you have two YouTube channels, right? Is it
Yeah,
still set
yeah.
up that
There's
way?
one for ominous conclusions, and there's one. It's just my own name, Luminas. It's
Yeah.
where I put instructional content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so literally stuff like this, so music theory, guitar, especially
Yeah,
like lots of great guitar stuff. If you're a guitarist, then yeah, your channel is fantastic for like
thank you,
technique
man.
and stuff. But then, as you say, like really interesting kind of theoretical things like this as well. It's just a great place to learn things. So yeah, so people should just be aware of that. That you have ominous conclusions, which is your original music, and you
Yeah,
being a composer, and then you have all of this educational stuff that you make. And man, you're really on it. Like you bang out a lot of videos and content and stuff there as well. I've always been impressed
thank
by
you,
that,
man.
man. So
Thank you so much.
yeah. So yeah, check that out. And I know that I'm definitely going to check out that video to go into further depth about this particular topic because
Let me know what you think, man.
yeah. I will, man. I will. Um, but like yeah, I mean, I guess just to follow it through from there, like you then go on to do a lot of guitar orientated practice, right?
Yeah, of course. So as I said, I start with ear training because it's the
Mm-hmm.
moment in the day when you're the most
Yeah, freshest. Yeah.
able to practice this specific kind of skills, and
Mm-hmm.
then I move on to music theory. So either I study
Okay.
harmony, or mostly these days counterpoint or applied
Mm-hmm.
counterpoint in classical compositions. I have
Nice.
this wonderful book. It's upstairs, unfortunately. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Counterpoint in Composition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the name of the authors, but you can find it pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a wonderful book, and I studied it with the piano. So
Mm-hmm.
I spend about, I'd say, depending on the time I have, I spend between half an hour up to an hour on ear training, and then about an hour on counterpoint, sometimes a bit more, and
Wow.
then I move on to practice. So it's about 10, and from 10 to now, depending, it's always adaptable, depending on what
Mm.
I have to do for my project. If I have to, edit a video, or just, plan some posts for social media, or write emails or things like that. If I have to run a promotion or something,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what I have to do, I will practice from 10 to um, about 2 or 3 p.m., usually up to 4. But
Mm-hmm.
these days, I don't have the luxury to do that.
Yeah, too
So
much
I practice
work.
until about 3 p.m., and then I move on
Wow.
to all the nice but not so funny stuff.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
all
Yeah, the administration.
The administration, exactly. So
Yeah.
then I do this until from 3 or 4 to 7 p.m. I do this. Then at 7 I stop. I go work out for a few minutes. Just I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but it just feels good at the end of the day, and it's so that I don't look too bad when I'm naked. I just work out. I do something a bit demanding for about 10 minutes and listening.
If you've been oh yeah, nice.
Just blowing off some steam.
So yeah, that's it. You're like sitting down all day practicing computer or whatever, and then just 10 minutes of intense
get
some movement, get some
exactly
cathartic
exactly that's exactly it. Especially
purge the day.
The practice, it's cool, it's kind of cathartic also, but when you move on to just the computer stuff, I feel like dying every time. I love talking. I love sharing what I do. I love talking to the fans and to to people like you. It's great, but just getting to do it, just starting out, it's always a bit hard for me.
Man, I can imagine, especially doing it at that point in the day. Like, I struggle with that. Like, I think the main thing is that, one thing I learned is that it's definitely good to try and like get your priorities in first, basically.
Yes.
Like you're fresh in the morning and you like bang out the stuff that is most important for you to get done.
Exactly.
And I think that was the crucial thing about your schedule, is that like for you, like practicing and really like honing your craft as a musician is your number one priority, which is really cool.
Yes, but actually it's when I think about it, I think about it this way. I don't really have a choice. As you know, I'm making a music that's really demanding, actually, both technically and also theoretically. And it's not because it's not a demonstration. I don't want to. I am not the biggest writer in the world. I never be, and I don't care. I really don't. I just want to have all the technique I can possibly have, because I don't want it to be an obstacle for creation.
Yes.
Sorry. So I want to be able to compose and play everything that I want, and that's why I do this. And also because you introduced me as guitarist, and you said
virtuoso.
Guitar virtuoso.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
But when you practice like this much every day, then it's not just a mystery, I guess, where it comes from.
But actually, it's a bit frustrating sometimes, because as you know, there are periods where you can not really do what you want, and there are. This year there has definitely been periods, when I had to create courses, and then I went touring or working on a festival. I didn't have much time to practice, and it's very frustrating. It really gets back at you at some point. Even just in your head, you're like you don't feel whole. You don't feel whole. So it's also, as you said, it's also cathartic. But basically, the kind of music I do, and that's why I wanted to relate to what you said. You introduced me as a guitar virtuoso, and that's also how my fans see me somehow. So I am making this music because that's the music I want to make, and I have to deliver. I have to give people what I promised them, what they signed up for. I'm talking about Lovecraftian instrumental music, and because it is instrumental, I want the music to tell a story. And so there are many things that must happen in these tracks if I want a story to emerge in people's mind. And
Mhm.
for that, I have to put a lot of work in it. I have to find ways to diversify and to tell the stories, as you mentioned earlier. And
Mhm.
if I don't practice enough, and unfortunately I feel like I don't have enough time. I would like,
Mhm.
my goal is to be able to practice about 8 hours a day,
Wow.
but I obviously can't do that.
Mhm.
If you just have, your fridge is empty, you have to
Yeah,
fill it
yeah,
up.
yeah. Of
You
course.
gotta go out, and
Life gets in the way, yeah.
yeah, there's an hour up. You don't get your 8 hours practice. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Wow.
the smallest things can prevent you from doing what you want. But
Mhm.
that's why I got this schedule, because it's adaptable, but it is enough of a discipline
Yeah.
for me to get things done. And
Totally, man.
and well, that's it. Basically, it's just what helps me. And but
Mhm.
if I don't do things this way, I just basically feel like a fraud.
I see,
In front
yeah.
of my fans, in front of you. I have to,
Yeah.
and I just want to feel better with my playing and everything else. Just
Mhm.
like anyone, just like you, just like anyone else. So yeah, I put a lot of I try to keep it consistent, because
Mhm.
the rest of it is really important. All the social media stuff, and thanks to that, thanks to what I learned in SMA, thanks to what I learned through you, even to through many other talented guys like Alex and Blood of Indigo, and all
Mhm.
the the people we um, met online.
Mhm.
Uh, it, it really all these things, it really changed my life. I mean, where I was 3 years ago, I mean, it's unbelievable where I am today.
Mhm.
I am so grateful for this, but there's no point in me, doing things on social media if I
Mhm.
got nothing to offer.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I
And that's
see.
why I really have to work on my craft, and
Mhm.
that's why I got this schedule. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm trying to make this a priority, because before, another mistake I made, I was trying to do, if actually, and that's what I also say in my last video, I believe, on my instructional channel on YouTube,
Mhm.
is that when I was talking about ear training,
Mhm.
because you do the most important things in the morning, because that's when you're fresh. That's when
Yeah.
your brain is
Mhm.
fresh and can process all these things. And I was doing this. I was doing the most important, the most urgent thing in the morning. And so I was every morning opening the laptop, doing all the emails, all the things, all the
Yeah, yeah.
administration. But then it impacted my practice, because it left me less time to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
practice in the
Definitely,
end.
yeah.
And I also practice when I was more tired, in the afternoon.
Mhm.
But by starting with practice, I am really fresh, and
Yeah.
the
And
rest
good
of it
practice.
is actually um, requires less focus than
Mhm.
practicing guitar and doing ear training and stuff. So you got to know also when is the best time for you in the day to do specific tasks, and
Mhm.
that's why that's what I try to optimize. And actually, someone that helped me a lot with that through a conference with SMA students was
Mm.
Megan Ryan Torres.
Mhm.
He talked about how the brain acts differently in during the day, in different
Yeah.
periods of the day, and how to
Mhm.
optimize what you do. And
Mhm.
I implemented some of this, and it really changed my life.
Mhm.
It was less than a year ago.
Mhm. Was yeah, that was the conference.
in January, I believe.
Is that the
Something
one
like that.
IMMA in indie
Yeah,
musician?
yeah, exactly.
Something or other. You sent it to me, that one, and I checked it out, which
Oh
is
yeah,
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 that's right. Yeah,
yeah, really cool. Again, just great to have people that are all in this together, you know, sharing ideas with each other. That's what it's
that's
all
what it's
about.
about. Yeah,
But 100%, I agree with you, man. Like, again, it's all personal what your priorities are,
yeah,
you know, but I definitely think there's a lot to that, like how you're structuring your day and such it should reflect that. And as you said, as well, especially like one thing that is a recurring topic in many books and things that I've read is like you definitely don't want to be starting with your emails and like your social media, like just like
yeah,
messages, all of that, because basically like there's no better way to just completely scatter your focus, you know. And if
yeah,
you come in fresh at the beginning of the day, and that's when you're like most impactful, and you start by, instead of having your intention and what the most important thing for you to do is, you just open yourself up to receive like all these other,
yeah,
you know, what everybody else wants from you basically. And yeah, it can just lead you off in all these different directions, and as you say, like your day can just get burned down like that, and then you have no
yeah,
time left for the important
exactly.
things. So even if business and administration or whatever is the kind of priority stuff, which, you know, for better or for worse, that's kind of been the case for me, um, is still definitely like do your most important tasks first rather than just like general emails and all of the, you
Exactly.
know, yeah, for sure. And as
Exactly.
well, like having set times for those things rather than just like whenever anything comes in, you can just
Yeah,
be
yeah,
constantly thrown off your
that's something
focus.
that's important because before, as I said, I was starting with this, the administrating, but as
Yeah.
you know, it is endless, and there's always
It's
something to
it's
do
it's
on
endless,
the
man.
website, on
Yeah.
and
Always, man.
you say, you sit down, you say, yeah, okay, I'm allowing 2 hours for this, and 5 hours later you're like, oh fuck, fuck.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no time anymore to practice and everything, and it just drove me crazy. But
Yeah.
now, if I decide I practice until then because I know I have this to do afterwards, uh, I know I have this window of time, and I quit at 7 or 7:30 p.m. I stop.
Yeah.
I just stop, and maybe there are things I wasn't able to do, but I
Yeah.
say for the next day, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my house is still here, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
well, the
That's
most
it.
important thing is that do I do take care of. Uh, I do everything I can in a day, really,
Hmm.
to
Yeah, you do your best, then that's
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And then you get back at it the next day. Like, yeah, at
yeah,
the end of the day, unplug. Don't worry about it.
yeah,
100%, 100% agree with you, man. Like, it's really important because again, by nature, you and I might want to just like work all the time and, you know, trying to be as efficient as possible. But like,
oh yeah,
again, it's just that thing. You have to listen to your body. You have to give yourself rest as well. And like,
definitely.
yeah, it's an important thing. You know, I'm always learning that as well and trying to improve it, you know. It's a
Uh,
never ending game to try and be
uh,
better with that.
I want, if that's possible, I want to share a short story about this
Of
to
course, man,
state
please.
how important this is. That okay, you work and you work hard,
Hmm.
on what you do, to what you want to do with your life, even if it's not music, but anything basically. You're
Hmm.
gonna, you know, state your goals and go for it. But
Hmm.
listen to yourself, because before before the outsider, I had I had someone in my life, and I was working with her. She had a company, butchers, for they were delivering meat for restaurants, and
Hmm.
I was helping out there and working part time. But it was, early in the day. I started at 4 a.m. and worked
Wow.
there until about 2 p.m., sometimes 4, something like that.
Hmm.
And a my Fridays were like that. I started at 4 a.m. I worked until about 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. And then I went to Lyon. It's the nearest big city in France. From here, it's about an hour drive. I went to teach lessons to a bunch of students. And then I was meeting my colleagues at a kind of, I don't know how to call it, but a place where we had, a specific room for us to rehearse.
Okay, yeah.
I was rehearsing every Friday evening until about 10 p.m. And then we went for a bite, and I went back home. It was between midnight and 1 a.m. And I went to sleep and woke up to go work on Saturday at 4.
Oh.
So I had like
Saturday as well.
Yeah, I had about 1 to 2 hours sleep in 36 hours. Maybe even less, but and I was happy about it. I did what I had. I practiced with my colleagues. I teach my students, and I had this side job with my, with my girlfriend, and I was happy with that. But it was a lot, and I remember a show we had to do. I share this in another video actually. We had this show with the band. I rehearsed on Friday evenings, and we had to play our whole repertoire, but also they required that we play covers to, just to entertain people and for the show to last longer. So we practiced like about 20 covers in a month. And so it was pretty intense because it was, covers like Iron Maiden, Fear of the Dark, this.
Oh, right.
So there were easier covers, but most of them were pretty long songs, and it was fun.
Man. Yeah.
But I got to the concert, I was so exhausted, man. I had a lot of fun, but I remember on Fear of the Dark, there was this band, and it was out of tune. It was horrible. I think I was the only one to hear it, but it drove me crazy, and because I was missing like a quarter of a tone.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. I was pulling.
You just didn't have the energy.
I just couldn't pull more on the string. Can you believe that? I was like, oh fuck, this is awful, and I was like struggling to pull on the string, and that's when I said also, that's one of the moments I said, I am never performing tired again.
Yeah,
because
you got to be on it.
You can practice. You can practice for hours a day. You can, practice like hell.
Yeah.
If you do things tired like that, it will never show in your playing. You will never play at the best of your abilities. So there's no point.
You
gotta respect yourself.
Oh man, 100%. Same can be said for like being drunk or whatever. I mean, it's not as much in the whole schedule thing, but I definitely remember that from back in the day. I could play guitar or whatever, and I remember a few occasions where someone would give me a guitar. I'd be totally drunk, and they'd be like, "Oh, Will's great at guitar. Like, you play something," and I would just be like, can't play anything. And I just like embarrass myself, and probably those people are just thinking like, what the hell, that guy is terrible.
I feel you.
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you, man. And again, like I also been again, there's a certain amount that you can maybe get away with when you're young. Like when I was 21, I was going out to gigs every night and just like networking and having fun, going to bed at like 4 a.m. and then working at 9 o'clock every day in an office. And yeah, man, it's not sustainable. Like maybe you can do it for a while and you can be young and you can be like, whatever, having fun. But man, like I was just again spreading myself too thin, being absolutely exhausted all the time,
Yeah, man, that's it. Actually, you could do this all your life if you want, but your life will be short.
Yeah.
Your life will be short, and And then also at some point you realize that you're not enjoying everything as much as you used to, because you always have there, and it's not sustainable, like you said.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. And then, so at some point you have to, if you're serious about what you're doing, and you want to stay productive, and especially to try and like progress in a difficult field like the arts, then yeah, you have to get to the point where, I guess, like you and I were spending a load of time chatting about just trying to optimize life to get the best out of it, you know. So yeah, man, I'm with you on that. Like, and yeah, that's it, and that's it. That's why it's good to have camaraderie, man. I definitely feel that wavelength, and I definitely, man, I admire so much like how committed you are to practice and really owning your craft, man. Because like, yeah, I definitely see you as a colleague and stuff, and like as composers and musicians. But that, man, like for sure, like I'm in I'm in awe of that, because like I am not doing anywhere near as much of that, man. So
Man, you're doing
like
really
hats off
great.
to you.
You're doing amazing, man. Because with
Thank
all
you, man.
that, you do all these things already, and you're a producer too. I'm not a producer. Well, I know what I want, so I'm the kind of producer I can give orders,
I think that
I cannot tweak the buttons on it or anything. I'm
I
bad
get
at
you.
that.
I think that you're good as a producer in terms of like you record your music and you put it together. You have the vision, but I guess as you say, the more technical aspect of like mixing and mastering, I guess, is
dialing in the compressor and things. This just gives me nightmares. But I got a great sound engineer, so we meet and I say I want this. He does it. It's cool.
So the thing is, right, grass is greener on the other side. Like I've always had this mentality where I've just tried to do like everything, and I just try and learn how to do everything myself, and it has its perks for sure, but it definitely has its disadvantages as well. And I think that, to be honest, a way that I would probably recommend most people do is more like what you do, which is like you're a specialist, and you're really good at what you do. I mean, you do also do a lot of different things and have, all these different skills, which is awesome. But like, as you've said here, like you have a real priority to like hone your craft, to be an amazing musician, especially like fantastic on guitar. Like you're always in top form by practicing so much, and that's like really at the core of what you do. And then that means that like you had recently, you can get a call to go out on tour, and like you have to learn a bunch of songs like that, and then like go and gig and be on it and perform really well, and you're ready, man. Like you're on that because you're a top form guitarist.
Thank you.
And then, as you say, when you're making music, you can give that other job to somebody else. You get a sound engineer, and they can cover that. And to be honest, that's probably a lot of the times better as well, just to have another perspective on it and etc.
Yeah,
I think that for the most part, it's probably it's a good way of going about things. Like I definitely struggle sometimes with the fact that I feel like very spread out in everything, like for years growing up, I was a guitarist, These days, I don't even really feel like a guitarist anymore, I can play guitar and it's like something that I do, but I don't know. I feel almost as if I can't really identify as a guitarist anymore. And especially like where you're like practicing shredding guitar like every day, like I don't do that, man. Sometimes I don't touch the guitar for way too long.
There's nothing, you don't have to. I'm saying that it's really, generally speaking, you don't want to compare yourself to others.
Exactly. I think that's
here to inspire you, but you do what you want for your own craft. I do what I want, and when I practice a lot, but I don't practice everything. There are things I can see a guy on Instagram shredding like crazy, doing stuff.
Yeah, man.
I could, and I say to myself, wow, that's great. And I could learn that line, but I think, no, I got better things to do. I can develop the technique, but if it doesn't, if it's not relevant to me, I will not waste a minute on something like this, because I'm never going to use it. It's going to be do things that are relevant to you.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. And I think, to be honest, that was kind of the point that I was making. I said as well about grass is always green on the other side.
Yeah,
you got to check that. You got to, again, do what works for you rather than like comparing yourself to others. But it's just like there's a lot of mutual respect between us, which is awesome, and that's the right way to do it. But like, yeah, it's just, again, it's easier to see like the perks of somebody else's kind of perspective, and then we have to personally deal with all of the drawbacks of that.
Yeah, exactly. But you gotta ask yourself the right questions. Sometimes to get back on that. Yeah. I see, for example, a guitarist on Instagram, and every day he posts crazy shred licks. And I'm like, wow, I could do that. It would be good for my Instagram account and popularity. I should do things like that. But I'm thinking, okay, if I do this, I gotta plan every day or a day when I record a bunch of licks, and you gotta think about these things.
Exactly.
And you got to write the licks and practice them. So it's a bit of time. And I'm like, but these guys, that's all he does actually, and I'm really fine with that. But if I want to do that, I got to take time out of something else I already do and that matters. Do I really want to do this? And the answer is no.
Yeah, exactly.
The answer is just no. I want to spend time, developing what I need to refine my craft, just as I said, just as you said. And you gotta take things, when you see something like you're like, oh my God, I wish I play like this. I wish I do this. Just take a step back and see if it's really something that matters, actually.
Yeah, man, 100%. I think that's a good lesson. And I think that it's a sign of maturity as well, because I think that we've probably all been there, like susceptible to this, where you look at somebody else.
It's the guitar world, man.
Yeah. So it triggers that. But like, again, like the more you go through life and the more like determined you really are to do things in your way, like, you have to just learn how to do what works for you and what your priorities are. And outside of that, I mean, I've definitely struggled with that. But like, for instance, especially for me, I would say like becoming a father took that to another level, because like I was already trying to optimize things and be efficient and whatever. But when that happened, it's kind of like, wow, now there's a whole load more time and energy that is like I have to give something even more important. It's just like I just don't have time to waste. I don't, and there was, maybe I thought it was all being useful, or I was looking at something and being distracted by it and being like, oh well, maybe I could do that. But like now it's just like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, you got choices.
You got to just brush it off.
Yeah,
exactly, man. Like exactly. So, man, like we could definitely talk about stuff for a long time, and you and I, like we obviously keep in touch and can continue to do that. Definitely. I think that obviously we've already been speaking for a while, so I just wanted to bring it back round to talking about your project and you and like what's next. I know some things that are coming up that I'm really excited about. So perhaps you can share some of that, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm currently working on a new track that's called Time, and it's actually ready. I sent it to my sound engineer, and he just created the session and all, and we will meet in a few days now to mix and master the whole track. So this is something that will come pretty soon. And I don't really have precise date when it will come out, but soon. And I am finishing another track which is called The Haunted Cave.
Cool.
And it's really cool, really way simpler than The Outsider and even Time, but definitely has a very dark atmosphere, and I think it was great. It really works great, and I'm about to finish it, so I'm gonna record it soon as well, and both tracks will be featured on the printed version of The Outsider that I couldn't release last year.
Wow. Cool.
So I'm gonna make a printed version with all 3 tracks from The Outsider, Time, The Haunted Cave, and as a bonus track, Christmas Macabre.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Christmas Macabre is one you already released as a single, right?
Yeah, it was a single I released months before The Outsider.
And also we haven't mentioned, I should probably just throw in there that you also have the album prequel that came out. Well, that was your first release as a solo artist.
That was the beginning of the project, really. It was the beginning of Ominous Conclusions in 2019. I released prequel, which is more of I was going to say traditional, but no, but it's more a progressive metal album.
Yeah.
Back then I had a bunch. I really, as I said, I was tired of waiting for people to make something, you know. So I had a bunch of tracks I had composed for me, just like that, and I wanted to start something. So I created a project. I started Ominous Conclusions, and I put the tracks in an album. Well, it's actually an EP, but I'm saying album because initially there should have been about 3 other tracks on it.
I think it's long enough to count as an album, isn't it? Pretty sure. I think it's long enough to count as an album. Prequel.
I don't know. It's
I see. It's about half an hour. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty much an EP, but there should have been there was a 7th track that I didn't put there because I felt it wasn't the right mood. So the track is still here somewhere, but I'm gonna record it again. And but it's not something I'm gonna release in the Ominous Conclusions because it's definitely not the right vibe now. And there were 2 other tracks that should have been on this album too, but that I didn't put there because I was it was also a very stressful time of my life, and things happening, turning to shit everywhere. So I lacked the means to record the rest of record the rest of it here.
But nonetheless, it's still a great collection of tracks. And then, as you say, you got the Outsider, which is 3 tracks, and that's just a fantastic release. But then, as you say, like, you're going to add the new songs to it, which is really cool. And
because initially I wanted to have this one printed as well, but as you know, and as I mentioned earlier, it was really complicated. And although I had run a crowdfunding campaign, it really didn't go well because the platform was I don't know what went wrong, but it really didn't work. I mean, people were giving money, but they were not registered, and it was a nightmare. So I had to shut it down, and I had, in the end, I had to finish paying for everything myself. So it was pretty expensive, as you know. A release is expensive with the promotion and everything, and so I didn't have the means to print, and so I released it 100% digital, and I promised the fans I will eventually release, because I got a lot of fans waiting for printed versions. Metalheads, they still like the CD. I do too. I never listen to The Outsider just because it's not a CD, So
oh, really?
I really get that. So I'm gonna do a printed version, but to just to reward the people for the support, I'm gonna put a couple of more tracks on there. And in the meantime, it's also a way to keep releasing a few things, so that they don't wait too long until another release. I think it's a good compromise.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man. I like that idea for sure. And yeah, and I'm really excited to hear the new music as well. Like I know that Time is a track that you've been working on for ages, and that's quite a well, an interesting piece. Like, I mean, I'm lucky enough to have already heard some previews because, again, of the Patreon. But that's a track I'm super excited for. I mean, maybe we could quickly just like go into this topic a little bit, like in terms of time. What's your concept of time in context of this song and the kind of story you're telling here?
This is this is kind of bleak, actually. As
okay.
always.
Yeah.
See, time. It's about the entity of time.
Mm-hmm.
Ominous conclusions being ominous conclusions. It is obviously a kind of a bad entity of, or actually, it's
an ominous entity. Yeah,
an ominous entity. Something you cannot actually really relay on. How should I put it? Time, as you know, we got watches and everything. We have kind of segmentation of time, but it's not real.
Yeah,
it's not real, and
it's an illusion.
Time is not something that is consistent depending on where you are, how you move, and only on planet Earth already, and let alone through space, and the way it also, there are things that you look at and you feel like it's been there forever and it will be there forever, but it's not the case. There's this, we say that time, it's common to say that time devours everything. And it's true. So it's about this, and the way time is, we usually see it as a straight line, past, in your past, future. Sorry.
It's all right.
And well, that's pretty much it. So I see it personally more like a kind of circle. I was partly inspired for this particular release. I was partly inspired by a series that's called Dark.
Oh, the German series, right?
Yeah, German series. Dark. It is dark indeed, and it's about the concept of time, and it is just mind blowing.
Yeah, mind blowing. Yeah. I get that. Like Interstellar was a pretty popular movie as well. That also
that kind of that kind of
like,
stuff. Also, I wasn't really inspired by Interstellar, but it's definitely that kind of idea. And
it has that theme.
Yeah. So I see time as an ominous entity, a devious entity, and I see it more like a circle instead of a straight line, because like things are slightly different, but it's always a repetition. And so I came up with this track like this. The main theme is actually, it goes in a circle as well, because it's a descending melodic line that descends chromatically. So that's the way time, passes seamlessly. So that's how we imagine time, like a river. And I did this melodic line going from chromatically from D to A flat, and the key is G minor. Now it's a bit technical, but it's not that.
To be honest, this is what I wanted to ask about, like how you go about portraying it musically. So sorry if it's too technical for some people.
No,
I'm personally very interested.
I'm trying to keep this simple. It's not that hard actually. If you look at a keyboard and you know where the notes are, you can really see this. I go chromatically, so from D to A flat,
the fifth to the minor third.
Yeah, to the minor second. Actually, we are in G minor.
A flat. Sorry. Yeah.
We are in G minor, and actually, I go from D to A flat, and that's the tritone. A flat to D is a tritone. There are 3 whole tones separating the 2 notes in two ways, whether you ascend or you descend. It's the exact division of an octave in our harmonic system. And I go, and with A flat, flat 2, 5, I got a traditional harmonic cadences. And actually it encompasses this basic layout encompasses all 12 semitones of our harmonic system, because it's a melody that could go either downward or upward. And well, it's a perfect circle, harmonic circle in G minor in the end, to make it simple. Afterwards, there are slight responses with different parts of the orchestra with you know, kind of you heard the orchestra, there are kind of, there are inspirations, passages that are kind of fugue like, you know, with
exactly.
the responding arpeggios and all. So we feel like the melody can go as well up as it goes down. And
and so by that you essentially create this motif of it being like a circle. That's the idea.
I thought about the idea of time like a circle, and I create a motif with, you know, with harmonies that are dark but not quite. It's really suspended, but we are never leaving the key actually. So that's to say, time is consistent. But it is something that you cannot really trust. So we are flirting with the boundaries of the tonality, but we are never quite leaving it, and it goes in a circle. That's it. That's the basic layout of this track.
Man, I love that. I'm all for this kind of approach. Like, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but like that's a huge part of why I was so drawn to your music, because I could tell that straight away when I first heard it, that you had this approach. And from speaking to you, like, to have such a metaphorical kind of storytelling, conceptual approach to composing music, that's a fascinating topic to me. And I think that you do such a great job of it. And I really, really can't wait to hear the finished version of Time, because I think that Time is potentially going to be your best piece yet. So
definitely.
And it's cool. Hopefully, like, anybody listening to this now has got a taste of that, and we'll look forward to hearing that as well. So
man, just one last thing I want to say is thank you, because I'm so glad that The Outsider you know, made us meet, and that you reached out, and I wanted to thank you really, because I kept that. That's one of the first things you said to me, and when one of the first things you said when you listened to the first track on the EP is wonderful composition and guitar playing, incredible use of suspensions and dissonance. I absolutely love the tonal palette. This is one of the most beautiful things I have ever heard, man. So thank you so much.
Thank you, man,
for everything and for this. Thank you.
Likewise, man. Thank you too. Like, I really appreciate that you were so open to receiving that. Like, I didn't know you at the time. I just genuinely felt that about your music and wanted to tell you that. And the fact that you were so open to chatting more about it, and then, man, the fact that you've also been so supportive as well of everything that I've done, man. Like, a lot of mutual respect, man. Like, for sure. Big love. And the fact that we've been able to have this conversation is it's just awesome, man.
It's priceless.
Is there any last things that you want to say before we wrap up?
Well, basically, thank you, and thank you, William, for this, because it's an honor to be here, not only, you know, in your podcast, but also just to have this chat. I was looking forward to it for quite a while too. And well, thank you. It's really great. And thanks to anyone who's been listening. I hope that you liked it. And well, feel free to check out Ominous Conclusions. Let me know what you think. And if you like H.P. Lovecraft, you definitely would like this music. So I'm going to see you all soon. And if you have any questions or inquiries, just reach out.
Yeah. Nice one, man. Nice one. Well, dude, thank you. Thank you so much, man. It's been such a pleasure. Can't wait to do it again sometime.
Definitely, man. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Creating a Universe. Special thank you to Louis for joining me. It was a real pleasure to finally get to have this conversation. Be sure to follow Louis and check out his wonderful music at ominousconclusions.com. There you should be able to find links to all the social media channels and various offerings. I hope you enjoyed listening. Please feel free to reach out and let us know what you thought. And until next time, take care.